Okay, hey everybody. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Do you all have our little worksheets here that Paula's holding up? They're in the back. Let me introduce Paula Messina.
Good morning.
Study abroad expert from AIFS. She's going to run us through some great advice and some scholarships. And I'll talk a bit about financial aid, right? That's in there.
Yeah.
And a bunch of other stuff. And I'll talk a bit about the Gilman. But I think we'll schedule a second meeting for the Gilman. The deadline's October 3rd, 2nd.
Tuesday, the first Tuesday of October.
So we can use the computer room, but I need you to get official transcripts from either high school or college and print those out, which takes a little bit of time, and then bring them, and we'll scan them to a PDF. You got to upload those, but we can go over basic Gilman stuff and some other stuff. So, okay, I'll leave it to you.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Congratulations on your decision to at least look into study abroad, right? You're halfway there. Study abroad certainly is something that both John and I did as part of our undergraduate work, and it definitely was an experience that changed my life. I think it was yours too. Right?
Everybody.
It changed my whole career path. It changed my personality. It changed everything for me. So it's sort of not only an occupation or a career, it's a mission now to get as many students as possible to study abroad. So we put this together because at the info sessions that we would do, we would get a lot of questions about funding. You know, study abroad is more expensive than staying at home and attending community college. But there are ways to come up with the funds to have the experience and make it a great one. So just before we start with the actual funding material and all of that, I just want to tell you, that study abroad definitely has return on investment, right? It's got that ROI. It's any business majors in here? No? Yay, Paula, ROI. It's definitely something that will reap benefits long into your life. It's an investment in your education. It's an investment in your career. Fewer than 10% of U.S. college students study abroad. So out of the 40-some-odd million college students that we have across the country, less than 400,000 actually study abroad. So having that on your transcript, having that on your resume, and you're going to always want to feature that experience prominently on your resume, will set you apart then, if we do the simple math, at least 90% of your peers, right? It's that international experience that employers are looking for in a global marketplace. I can't think of a job that having an international experience, especially a long-term one like a semester, will not set you apart and really give you a leg up. So we definitely think that it's definitely something that is worth investing in, right? So first we're going to start with knowing your finances, right? Setting a budget. This is the first part of this presentation. And we kind of did a little mock-up budget, or at least a suggestion, on page 2 of this folder. So really you want to start with, sometimes not all the costs are set from the beginning when you start to look into this experience. So we kind of gave you a column for approximate costs that, we can give you general estimations, or you or yourself can estimate. And then actual costs, so you can start really setting budgets and how much money that you need to come up with. So how much are your program fees, what's included? So in the program fees that the Citrus College Study Abroad programs offer, you have your program fees, which include your housing, they include some meals, and then you have your tuition that is paid to Sacramento through Citrus College directly. That would be a separate cost aside from the program fee. Some of the programs that we're doing have optionals. What are optionals? We have some extra trips. For example, in the Seville program, we have the trip to Morocco, which is a trip that a lot of students want to take. For the London one, we have the optional cultural program. We have optionals to Florence, actually, and to Scotland. So there are extras travel that students want to participate in. So you want to kind of figure in your optionals. There's some other expenses like your round trip airfare that's never included in the program fee. Some for our programs we do the optional group flight, or students are told that you can look online and book your own travel to the program destination yourselves. What are you going to need for meals? And we have some estimations later on in the slide. Independent travel. Some pre-departure expenses too, right? Do you have your passport already? Is it good for at least 6 months after the end of the program? Because if it's not, you have to get your passport renewed, and that represents a fee of about $100. Do you need new luggage? Do you have enough luggage? You get yourself to TJ Maxx or Ross right away. Those are just some things that you want to start thinking about. Do you need extra insurance? We always recommend, you have great medical insurance included in the program, so generally you don't need to upgrade that, but is your stuff insured, right? That's not included. Well, is your iPad, your iPhone, all of that stuff insured? That's important that you have that. Sometimes it's included in students' homeowners or parents' homeowners insurance. There's also insurance companies that will give you that kind of insurance, and we offer a package for like $95, I think, so it's like another $100. How much will I need when I'm abroad for food, fun, right? All that stuff I want to do, those experiences I want to have. Do I want to go to the theater in London? Do I want to go to a soccer game in Spain? Independent travel. How many trips do I want to do? We have to start considering all of that. And now you're just like, oh my God, why did I get up early for this? I'm never going to be able to afford it, right? No, that's not true. Financial aid can be used to pay program fees. Jen, you want to help me with this one? We can do financial aid together. You're always really good at this part.
Well, your son is utilizing financial aid, so you know the...
He sure is, yeah.
You know the routine.
Absolutely, right. So we are definitely not... Oh, study abroad has not made me wealthy, that's for sure. But you want to start by doing the FAFSA, right? Mm-hmm. And so hopefully you've already filled out the FAFSA. And are you all from Citrus College? Are you from other colleges by any chance? Everybody Citrus? Nobody else? Okay, so that's awesome. You already have filled a FAFSA. Citrus College is the college that you have indicated in your FAFSA. And then there is some free money, right? Like Pell, Cal grants, Chafee grants for some students. Those are free money, and in this PowerPoint I don't have the amounts, but I can switch to the other PowerPoint if you want to look at like Seville.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, generally the Pell is nearly $4,000, right?
3,000, just over 3.
Just over 3,
yeah.
And the Cal grant is about
900.
900, and then Chafee grant is for foster youth.
Yes.
So, but then there's also with EOP&S, Extended Opportunities Programs and Services. If you sign up with that, I'm not sure when their enrollment period for fall. I'm not sure if you have to.
I don't know.
Enroll in spring, for that. But there's two grants there. There's the Full-Time Student Success Grant and the CCCG. I can't remember what it stands for.
The Promise Grant?
That's
different. That's the bog waiver.
Right.
Right.
No, there's 2 other grants that are about $2,500 a year, so you can get another $1,300.
Okay.
And they also have textbook vouchers that you can use, but you have to sign up with the OP&S. And to qualify, you have to fit certain requirements. The Pell Grant, receiving the Pell Grant is the primary one. The other ones aren't too strict, but check out the OP&S for additional funding.
I have to add that into this. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, excellent. All right. So generally, these grants, as you know, if you have done financial aid yet, generally the grants don't add up to the full program fee and the extra money that you might need for meals and for independent activities. So students then have to come up with the rest of the funds themselves. So there are other ways that they're doing, and we're going to kind of discuss other things they're doing. One of the ways they're doing are student loans. and that is through, we consider that financial aid. But again, you have a choice. You could be offered a subsidized or an unsubsidized loan, and it's up to the student whether they want to take the loan or not. So subsidized loans are the kind of loans that are the loans that you want to take out. You don't have to start to pay them back until after you're done with your degree, and they don't start to accrue interest until after you're done with your degree. So subsidized loans are the good loans, right?
And it's until you're done with your education. So
yes.
As far as you go with your education, there'll be no interest.
Exactly. Unsubsidized loans or parent loans are the kind that do start to have to be paid back soon after you take out the loan, and they do start to accrue interest. The interest rate generally tends to be lower than what you could get at outside sources like banks. So if you don't qualify for a subsidized loan, an unsubsidized loan through financial aid might be a better option for you if that's what you decide you want to do. As far as taking out loans, I mean, we have a lot of, generally when we say to students, you could take out a student loan, they go, I don't want to do that. There's a lot of negativity surrounding that. But, we've talked to students who have done it, and, it's a way of coming up with extra funds that they need. They generally start to pay them back when they get home and, get their full-time or part-time job besides continuing their studies. They start to pay back their loans so that, they can get them out of the way as soon as possible. And, I just always remember Lucky from Mount Sac, who took out $2,500 for loans. And he says he was so glad he did, because then he had the funds to do all of that fun stuff that he wanted to do when he was there. So it's not always the worst thing. There are a lot of scholarships that you can apply for. Applying for scholarships, we say, should be treated like a job, right? You have to take it very seriously. You're investing some time into trying to win some money. I like to emphasize, and I think John does too, that you have to win scholarships. So this isn't, there's no guarantee that you'll get scholarship money, but the better your GPA is and your sort of student activities record or any, things that you can do that you've done, coaching, volunteering, things like that. They're all things that increase your chances of winning a scholarship. So applying for scholarships, use holidays, summer breaks, when you have most free time to work on researching and applying them. Apply early and apply to as many as you possibly can, because you never know, right? Don't discount some smaller scholarships as a waste of time. There are scholarships that are $250, $500. You want to start to apply as many as possible. Applying for a legit scholarship, they don't charge you any fees. If they charge you fees to apply for a scholarship, it's not a legit scholarship. Okay, so really there's no foul, no harm in applying to as many as possible. It doesn't have to be specifically a study abroad scholarship, and we're going to talk about some that are study abroad scholarships, but you are students and you can apply to any scholarships that they award to students. Okay. Here we have lots of information on where to find applications to scholarships. So we have all of this here. So you have all of that. The Gilman Scholarship is one we're going to spend a little more time on later. That is for Pell Grant eligible students. So you have to qualify and be awarded a Pell Grant in order to apply for that scholarship. But there are some that are location or major specific. There's some wild card scholarships, some heritage scholarships. I know the advisor we work with at Fullerton College had a student who applied for the Polish American scholarships, and he won it. So, you have to start looking for heritage scholarships, left-handed scholarships, stuff like that. These websites are listed in there. Sorry, something got in my throat. These are databases for scholarships. So when you go on those links, they'll have a scholarship section where they'll give you different places to apply for different scholarships. All school, right?
And then not on the screen is the FEA. Do you have another screen?
I think I have a
Okay.
whole FEA slide.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's some more also on there. You're going to put this PowerPoint also on your website, or it might be there already?
Yeah, we can do that in this video.
Mm-hmm.
Should we do questions?
Yes.
Okay.
So for the scholarships, can you only use those for like the bigger semesters, or can you get them?
For example, the Gilman, the award differs depending on the program that you do. So when you do apply for a study abroad scholarship, generally you have to disclose what program you'll be attending. And the award for short-term programs is up to $3,000, $2,500. The award for semester-long programs is up to $5,000. So that would be the difference. But generally, for just applying, you're fine.
We did have a student last winter who got $4,000 for Costa Rica.
I think that was a fluke.
That was a fluke.
Yeah, I think that was
That's
lucky
crazy.
her. Yeah, she
Everything.
made money to go to. They paid her to go to Costa Rica. Yeah,
That's rare.
yeah.
Got to write a really good essay.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. But that's your trick, writing a really good essay. So the Gilman Scholarship, I'll let you explain a little bit more about
Okay,
that.
so the Gilman Scholarship is supported by the U.S. Department of State. So Congress has to allocate money for this. It's a huge scholarship that seeks to promote study abroad with non-traditional students being community college students, right? There's not a lot of community college students that do study abroad, and it's hard to do study abroad after you transfer. They want to give a more accurate representation of the United States abroad, whereas students who do study abroad typically are Caucasian females. So it's not representative of our society. There are benefits to participating in study abroad, which we talked about previously. So in order to have these benefits apply to the more general population of the United States, there's programs like this that support that. It also encourages non-traditional destinations. So it's good. And I talk about this in the Gilman essay section. You know, because we are a community college and we have such a small program, we have to go to traditional locations to have enough students to participate. So you need to point that out in your essay, that you're a community college student and you only have one choice. You know, the spring we only have Spain, the fall we only have London, summer we only have Kyoto, right? You can't choose any other destination. So I think that's great to point out in your essay. There's priority for non-English speaking locations. Community college students are favored, so you have to point that out again. And it applies for programs that are at least 2 weeks long. And yeah, more than 2,300 scholarships awarded each year.
I'm sorry, I was wrong about that. I thought it was 4 weeks. It's 2 weeks for. Did I say that?
Is it 2 weeks? I thought it was 4 weeks also. Did they
No,
change
I
it?
got this
Well, we don't
off
have 2
the
week programs.
website.
Anyway.
Right, exactly. So we're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, $5,000 a semester. Usually it's 2,500, even for semesters.
Yeah.
Maybe $3,000.
Right. It's up to that amount.
Right.
Yeah.
I've never seen $5,000.
Yeah.
So it's usually
Yeah.
maybe $4,000 for a semester, but
Yeah.
usually 25.
Yeah.
3,000.
Yeah.
And then for the summer or the winter programs that are 4 weeks, then it's it could be $1,000, could be $2,000, 2,500. The deadline is the first Tuesday in October, which you said is October 2nd. And the summer, if you're doing a summer program, the first Tuesday in March. I don't know when that is.
Yeah.
And fall is also the same.
Correct.
And I think we'll do another workshop. I'll promote another workshop because what happens is you need to, as I said, print out those transcripts. We need to scan them. And then I'll get the girl who won $4,000
To come.
to come. I think she's supposed to be here today, actually.
Yeah, Catherine.
So we'll do another meeting for that one, just
Yeah.
specifically for the Gilman, maybe in 2 weeks.
I think 2 things I would definitely, if you are Pell Grant eligible, you need to apply for this scholarship. It's worth a try. you should start to do research before John's workshop about what goes into the Gilman Scholarship application. You have to do an essay, a personal statement, and there is a lot of advice online, YouTube videos, as well as a lot of four-year colleges, because there are a lot of four-year college students that apply for this scholarship as well. They have written advice on what to put into your essay. The second essay that you have to do is a project. The project is not as complicated as you think. You just basically have to describe what you want, what you will do when you return from study abroad to help spread, the word. Because study abroad is sort of like a cult. Once you do it, you start to preach the word. It really it's almost a religion.
I had a student in my office yesterday just
saying that.
Yeah,
It's a
like,
religion.
it was the best thing I've done. Blah, blah,
yeah,
blah.
it's so transformative that all you want is everybody do it. So you have to come up with some kind of project, and you have to describe what you will do. And so your project can be, it could be a video that you want to put together. It could be workshops you want to do on campus. It could be, you have to think about your talents and your skills and what's something you could do creatively to help spread the word of study abroad when you get back on your own campus or where you're planning to transfer to.
I think a really important thing, too, is thinking about your life.
Yeah.
And thinking about obstacles you've had in your life and things that you've overcome.
For your personal statement.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I went to the Gilman Selection Committee. And it was a huge emphasis on the personal statement and a smaller emphasis on the follow-up project.
Okay.
So I think the most important thing is having a good story that's a tearjerker. Like, you want to make these people cry when they read it.
Yes, that's exactly what the advisor at Mount Stack
Right.
used to say. Right? If I'm not crying at the end of your essay, go back and do it again.
And it's all got to be tied together with your goals in life, right? And
so definitely, go ahead, yes.
I just want to point out this video. So we created a video 2 years ago. That's not a video. Here it is, Gilman Scholarship Guidance video. So please watch this video.
Hello guys, my name is Christina Sandoval.
So you have Christina, and we
go
go through
the Gilman Scholarship.
our workshop.
So I'm going to go ahead and just explain.
And she'll give you more information. So for complete Gilman information, watch that video and then come to the meeting. I'll try to schedule the Friday after next.
And then any essays that you do for scholarships, you want someone in your writing center to look over it, to give you hints. They are used to looking at scholarship essays, so they can point out, things that you should develop a little further, maybe things you should say, and very importantly, the correct grammar and spelling. It's really important that both grammar and spelling be perfect in your essay. Okay, so scholarship essays take time, they take work, but luckily you're at the start of the semester. Your workload, hopefully yet, is not that great. It's something that you can start to do before things get crazy next month, the month after.
And you get this going, you get this essay together, you can use it, you just change a few things and you keep sending it all over the place.
Sure.
And you need that statement about yourself anyway, because when you apply for jobs later, this is something you have to put on your what do you call it? The drawing a blank.
Your resume?
But before the resume, you have your
Cover letter.
Cover letter. Thank you. On your cover letter, you need to write a little story about yourself often. So this is something you can.
Years. I didn't even know that.
This is something you can draw from.
Awesome.
Okay, there's the FEA.
This is another scholarship, the FEA scholarship. This is one application for 10 different scholarships, all focused for study abroad. This is not limited to Pell Grant students. It's open to everyone, so you should all be applying to this one. It says November 15th, but actually remember I found it online. If you look for certain programs, there's an application open right now.
Is it January 10? Isn't it later than that?
This is for summer, fall, spring programs, but I think for spring now, it's open. It's currently open.
It's open till September 18th?
Something like that, I want to say.
Let's look.
It opened end of August and for spring programs. But again, for 10 different scholarships, priority given to community college students, first generation students, minority students. What does that mean? In your essay, you have to explain to them that you are any or all of these things, right? Your personal statement, again, is very important. And emphasizing all of that.
And the deadline is September 18th. 12 p.m. Eastern time. So
which is 9 a.m.?
12 p.m., so 9 p.m. our time, not a.m. So that would be the first one to apply for, the FEA scholarship.
Yeah. Here you go. And you want to do that soon?
You said the 18th?
Yes.
18th of September, right? Which is next week. Yeah?
2 weeks, right?
2 weeks?
Yeah.
10 days.
Yeah. 10
awesome.
days, 11 days. All
Next. Another study abroad scholarship, the Joan Nelson Study Abroad Scholarship, goldenkey.org, multiple $5,000 awards, opened in August, closes in December. Again, open to anyone, not just Pell eligible students, so apply to that as well. There are a lot of community scholarships, and so we're not talking about necessarily study abroad scholarships, but there's a lot of scholarships that you can apply to in the community. Rotary, they are a large international organization, Kiwanis, Veteran of Foreign Wars, Elks, Moose, the Masons. So you want to start looking at their websites, looking for student scholarships that they may offer, and start applying.
Yeah, and if you look at your parents' work, you know,
Yes.
sometimes they offer scholarships related to college.
Yes.
Maybe not necessarily study abroad.
Yes.
For example, I'm in we have the CSEA, which is the union for state employees,
Mm-hmm.
and they offer all kinds of scholarships
Mm-hmm.
for students.
Mm-hmm. My company, for example, will match any scholarships my children get up to a certain amount. So they'll match up to $500 a year for my children if they get scholarships. So you have to ask, and we're sort of a mid-sized, we're not a gigantic company, so you never know if your parents work for a larger company. Definitely look into that. All right, so just do it. You know, I know this is another assignment, and you probably just got out of English, and you have so many things to read and write, but this is really worth it. It really is. Just keep in mind that deadlines rotate, that you have to be aware of the deadlines before you apply. Allow time to write, edit, and revise. Sometimes they require letters of recommendation. So if you have a good faculty member that you know pretty well or you've done really good work for, then definitely just go and get a recommendation for them straight away. Do that this week. Ask for a faculty recommendation because you may need to use it for certain scholarships. And you know, faculty don't do anything quickly. Are there any faculty here? They don't do anything quickly. There's always a little turnaround time. So definitely ask for a letter of recommendation this week. Sometimes they require service once you're back in the U.S. Sorry, I forgot the end of that.
It's good.
So here are some writing tips. And like I said, my number writing tip is that once you're done with your essay, take it to the writing center, for sure. Have them correct it, have them give you tips. But these are, I'm not going to go through these. You can read all that yourself. Go through those tips.
Next one.
So then now we're done with the scholarship section. We did the budgeting section. We're going to go on to the creative funding, which is the end of this presentation. These are four basic things that you can do to raise funds for your study abroad. We'll end with some real student examples, and I added some advice from one of our faculty members at the end of the presentation. We'll go to lifestyle changes, which is first. Things to save on how you spend your money. You want to start maybe getting a keep the change savings account, and you want to start cutting down on how you spend your money so that you save your money so you can spend it when you go abroad and do all those fantastic trips that you want to do and all of that. Buy a coffee maker and stop buying Starbucks. Stop going to the local coffee shop. Remember, you'll have a lot of that when you get abroad. Avoid the temptation of buying unnecessary stuff online, and I say that as a mother of an 18 and a 21-year-old. I always find those little Amazon Prime packages at my door nearly every single day. But yeah, iTunes, Amazon, all of that stuff, cut down on that, right? Because you are saving your money for when you go abroad. You're going to buy all those fantastic souvenirs. Keep the change savings account. That's fantastic because it's automatically putting money into your savings. Part-time job, if you're not already working, you have time to do maybe cart pushing at Walmart or go work at Starbucks. Maybe they'll give you free coffee. I remember when I was going to study abroad, I delivered newspapers every day at 4:30 a.m. and was finished at like 7 in time to go to class. And I did that for 2 years, specifically to save funds to go abroad. I'm not saying that I'm a saint or anything, but my family didn't have, the money to give me to go and, do the trips that I wanted to do and pay part of my program fees.
Do we talk about
I did that. I know they don't deliver newspapers anymore because nobody reads newspapers unless it's online, but there are other delivery services. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, there is. We had students on our Facebook page, right?
London program.
Who recommended delivering for Uber Eats and Grubhub. And
Post. What is it? Postmates, yes.
And there was one, DoorDash.
DoorDash. That was another one, yeah.
So those are options to look into if you have a car.
Some people do it on bikes, actually, but it's probably not good for LA.
You get exercise, and then you can cancel your gym subscription
until
you get back. So there's things to do. Stop a habit like smoking, eating sweets, things like that. I mean, besides being good for your health, you'll save some money and take that money and put it in your travel fund jar. So there are some other things. A big one that students are doing is asking for gifts of money for their birthday and holidays rather than gifts of stuff. And then they're saving that money for their travel. All right. Other really interesting and creative things that students are doing, which I think are fantastic, are back to basics, like stuff that 12-year-olds do. Mowing lawns, walking dogs, bake sales, yard sales. My son, we live in a small development, and there are some older couples that live across from us. And my son actually knocked on the door and said, I'm available as a dog walker if you need it, and they took him up on it. So he's walking dogs a couple times a day, and it's not a huge amount of money, but he's banking his money for his study abroad, yard sales. I love this idea, and we're going to get to a slide about yard sales in a second. What a Chafee student did a couple years ago. Babysitting, car washes, seasonal jobs. I know that the Christmas hiring season is coming around the corner. In the spring, places like Home Depot and Lowe's hire extra for the spring, when everybody gets their DIY on and gets out, Lyft or Uber drivers, that kind of thing. Use your social networks. So there are a lot of crowdfunding ideas that students are doing to try and raise funds on using the social network. These are some really good tips, like changing your cover Facebook to include your funding information, sharing, getting a GoFundMe or a Venmo, and, sharing that information, resharing that information, having friends and family share the information. Students, if you go to GoFundMe, and you, in the search bar, you put in study abroad, you'll see tons of examples of students who are raising funds for study abroad. The story is really important.
So I was
right?
going to say.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you just need to explain why you want to do study abroad, how it's going to benefit your life, how it's going to help your education. Like, why do people want to contribute to this thing you're going to be a part of?
Right. So sometimes among some people, there's the misconception that study abroad is just a vacation, and it's not. Study abroad is an academic program in another country. You really want to emphasize that by explaining all of the things that you're going to study and the field trips you'll be taking, and then really you want to cite the benefits of study abroad and talk about how, what plans you have for the future and why this international experience will help you. For sure. Use your networks, right? If you're part of a church or a temple or some kind of religious organization, that's a whole community that you have behind you. Your family and extended family, any social organizations that you might be a member of, and reaching out to companies and organizations like John and I were talking about before. So we have 3 examples of 3 students in the recent past who did this. This is Angelica. She was a Mount Sax. Was a Mount Sax student. She's probably transferred since then. I haven't heard from her in a while. But she decided that she was going to do a bake sale. So she did a half page. On one side, she had her menu of baked goods that she could bake. Her sister was a huge help in helping her create the menu with recipes and helping her bake a lot. And on the back, she wrote her story with photos of Barcelona, right? Her plan was to do the Barcelona program a couple of years ago. And so she put photos of Barcelona and told her story about why Barcelona was so important to her. And she went, or a quarter page, she went around to everywhere she could think of, the campus administration offices, faculty offices, to sell and deliver. So she wouldn't bring the goods with her, she'd take orders, which was something I didn't understand in the beginning, right. Which made a lot of sense, right? She's not baking and then not
That's what Frankie Joe did.
Stuff.
As
yeah,
well.
Frankie Joe did it too. We had another student who did it for the Japan program in the summer. And she would take orders. She said when she started, she would go in and offer, I'm having this bake sale, and she would get no. When she started to tell her story first, right, that I'm raising funds for my study abroad, and, she had a little elevator pitch. 30 seconds of who she was, why study abroad was so important to her, and this is what she's offering. Concise and quick. Christina, a Chafee student, I love this idea. She went around to all of her neighbors and asked for their Goodwill box, right? So a lot of people have, this pile of stuff that they don't want, but they don't want to throw away. They've got to bring it eventually to Goodwill. She collected her neighbors' stuff as well as stuff that she had, parents had and stuff, and then had a 2-day huge garage sale, and this is all her testimony. And it's hilarious because what she got from one neighbor, she sold to another, which I think is brilliant, and raised $1,500, right? And also other things she did, she sold candy bars at work, saved as much as she could with part-time hours, didn't go out as much, cut back on fast food, did side jobs like babysit, she cleaned people's houses, good for her. This student asked for simple donations, which is an idea too. She made this card, it's an example, and she asked for a donation of $2 cash. Handed out to everybody she met and raised $1,000 that way.
That's a good one.
That's another one, yeah.
And then, I have students that they have some kind of talent. I have a student.
We have to put her in here, yeah.
Who just went to London, and I have her painting in my office, a print of her painting. So she went on Etsy and then linked it to social media and said she's trying to study abroad. Here's some painting. Your contribution will go towards my London study abroad program. So if you have any talents, utilize those. Oh, okay. Do you want to do this one?
So this comes from a faculty member that we had go to Gerhard Peters. Some of you might know him. He teaches poli-sci here. Mm-hmm. He
he's
savvy
one of those.
With his, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you know those credit card points people that
get everything with
I don't
points.
know how they do it, but
yeah. So he recommended these credit cards and that ATM. And these are cards that you can use for getting points that can translate into flights or translate into cash. So these are some.
Right, and I would look into this on your own. Try to find a program or a card that's good for you. I don't know, I know they probably wouldn't admit 18-year-olds with credit cards. You probably need to have some kind of
apparent,
credit history,
yeah.
Or maybe your parents
yeah.
would need to. It would need to be a joint card. But there's a lot of benefits to having these cards. One is that there's no international fees, right, for international transactions. Like if you're buying something in any country, there's no, what do you call it?
Withdrawal fees
And then currency
international exchange
fees.
Yeah.
So, and that's great to have in an emergency as well. Like if you're abroad somewhere and you lose everything, you still have this credit card to get you set up.
Right.
So that's a good benefit. The other benefit is the points. If you sign up for one of these new credit cards, they always have these bonus points when you sign up. Usually you have to spend a certain amount of money to get these bonus points, right? Like $400 to $3,000 or something. Each card is different. But you know, if you are not using financial aid, I think this is a good option because you could use your credit card to pay for the study abroad AIFS fees, which would then give you these points, which you could then use maybe for a flight, right? Or some of them can be turned into cash.
Yeah, we had someone who said they were doing that.
Right. Yeah. So, you know, look into these. Try to find one that's right for you. Talk to your parents about it. I think it's a good option. You might be able to hook up a free flight if you do it right.
Yeah.
And if you're responsible with credit cards.
All right. Any questions or anything?
That's the end of our show.
Yeah.
Our slideshow.
Yeah. Our show goes on. Yes, ma'am.
Do you do any collaborate fundraiser events?
Well, we had a study abroad club, but it wasn't. We actually generated a lot of money quickly, but it's defunct because it was too hard to get student. There's all these requirements for a club. You have to go to these student council meetings every week, and it's a pain. And they want minutes from your meeting, and there has to be a president. And so we collected a lot of money, and you can fundraise, and it was tax deductible, but students have to do it. You know, I can't be.
It gets to be, it's very complicated for us to do it because then distribution of funds that we raise, it's something that is a whole series of complications that I personally would not want to get involved in because I wouldn't want any kind of liability or blame later for any decisions even that we made.